Hi, I'm Jeff from Camera Jabber, and this is the GoPro Fusion. Now, the GoPro Fusion is the new 360 camera, the first 360 camera launched by GoPro, normally known for its action cameras. It's caused a lot of excitement. We've personally been following the development of it all year long, and are now lucky enough to be one of the first in the UK to get a model in. Since we've had it, we've been shooting with it non-stop, and have fallen in love with it in some respects and have been a bit frustrated in others. We'll get onto those. But the question everyone wants to know is it the game changer? Is this the camera that's going to bring 360 imaging and video into the mainstream? Possibly. We'll get to that in a minute. First, let me run through some of the specs. The GoPro Fusion can record 5.2K spherical video at 30 frames per second or 3K spherical video at 60 frames per second, and it can also produce 18 megapixel spherical videos. It's got dual lenses on either side of the camera, made of glass. Build quality is very solid, as you would expect from GoPro. I've got a Hero 5 Black here for comparison. You can see, size-wise, it's pretty much double the size, and even the battery in this Fusion alone is about the size, the height of this Hero 5 Black. Button layout is pretty similar to the Hero 5 Black and Hero 6. You've got your mode button on the side that powers it on, and you use that to cycle through your photo mode, your video mode, your time lapse, and your settings. Shutter button on the front, display screen, charging compartment. This door comes off, just like on the Hero Black cameras. However, the Fusion does not connect to the camera grip. Over here, you've got the battery compartment. As you can see, it's a very large battery. You've also got dual card slots. Now, what the Fusion does, it assigns one micro SD card, which you can use capacities up to 128 gigs, to either lens. And so when you are viewing if you drag and drop your files onto your desktop, you'll see that GoPro assigns one memory card to each lens. And so if you want to import that media later, you need to make sure that the files from each, which have the same file name, are in the same folder. Same rubberized grip body design that you see on other GoPro action cameras, and it is waterproof down to depths of 16 feet. Another quick thing, when you buy the GoPro Fusion, which is about $700, you get this handy selfie stick that becomes a tripod and extends, and I've tested this. I've set this up at the top of a waterfall and it worked just fine, so it's great. Okay, performance. Oh, sorry, one more thing about the build quality. Now, this is just a small thing to note, but those dual card slots, you need to be careful when you're putting them in there. There is a small gap in between the battery and the card slots, and a couple times when I was inserting the memory cards, I accidentally inserted it in that gap between the battery. Now, it's not a huge issue. You just got to take your battery out and take the card out, but it's something to be aware of if you need to shoot something in a hurry. And also, you don't want to scratch your card. Okay, performance-wise, the Fusion takes really good images. It's got it handles exposures very well. Shooting into bright skies, there's not very much purple fringing in the contrast areas, like you see with some of the cheaper 360 cameras and action cameras. Color is handled really well. Shooting into a bright blue sky, it gives you that nice, rich blue color you know from your GoPro action cameras. You don't get that kind of washed out cyan that you see with a lot of other 360 cameras. And the detail is really staggering. When you view back that 5.2K video and even the 4K video, there's just a real clarity to it that I've not really seen in other cameras. It's worth noting that at the time of this video, the GoPro app for Android users hasn't been updated to support the Fusion, so I haven't been able to shoot remotely via the app just yet. iOS, you're fine, you can shoot straight away. But for Android, I spoke to GoPro support, and they said the next 2 to 3 weeks that should be updated. So I've been using it with, have been shooting remotely with the voice activation, which you've probably been used to on the Hero Black cameras. Now, I tested the voice activation out in a crowded Christmas market in the center of Bath, England. I tested it at the top of that waterfall I mentioned, and I tested it at my table at Thanksgiving. And I have to say that the voice activation was only able to pick up my voice commands about 50% of the time when there was kind of heavy to moderate background noise. I tested it against the Hero 5 in the same situations. The Hero 5 was able to get my voice every time. So I think that's something that GoPro is probably aware of, and they'll probably address in the next few weeks. There have already been a few hardware updates and software updates since I've had the camera. Another point on performance is the spatial 360 audio that the Fusion records. I tested it in a few situations, and if you watch my video at the top of the waterfall that I mentioned, the subtleties it picks up in as you swipe around the scene is just staggering. I've never seen that level of ability in a consumer 360 camera before. Processing times, though. If you want to process your images and video from the Fusion, you need to download GoPro's Fusion Studio 1.0 software. You can get that from gopro.com/apps. It's a very simple interface to use. You can import your media via desktop folder, as I said, or plugging directly into your camera. That tends to be the easiest option. And the interface is all very easy to navigate. All your imported media will be in a column on the left. And then when you select an image or video, you'll have some editing tools on the side where you can adjust, the tones. You can, there's a GoPro, classic GoPro color setting you can click on as well to add that kind of look that you get from the action cameras. And then for videos, you can adjust the pitch and yaw and other things like that. When you're done, you can click a blue button on the bottom to add it to your render queue. When you get to your render queue, again, very simple, you can click to render all, or you can render them individually. Now, rendering images, no problem whatsoever. It does it within seconds, and it saves it to the folder on your desktop that you've designated beforehand. Rendering videos was another another story. I rendered when you click on a video to render, you get some different options. You can render it in 4K, 5.2K. You can select to render it for Facebook, for YouTube, for further editing in software like Final Cut Pro. I selected one 50-second video, the waterfall video, to put on YouTube at 5.2K. That video took 4 hours to render. Now, to put that in perspective, I live outside Bristol. I could have gotten my car after clicking render, driven to Manchester, and that's how long it would have taken to render. Likewise, if you're in the US, think about driving from Chicago to St. Louis, and that's how long it took. Now, I've got an average spec Mac, and I had average spec memory cards. I thought, okay, so maybe my supporting gear wasn't quite up to the job. And maybe this is more of a professional camera than an enthusiast camera. So I upgraded my memory cards to class 3. And then my colleague Ali, you've probably seen in other videos here on our channel, he is a professional videographer and video editor, and he has high-spec Mac. So I shot another video, gave it to him on the memory cards, gave it to him. He processed it on his machine, and it was a little bit faster, but not by much, I have to say. So then I thought, okay, well, I'm also testing the Ricoh Theta V and Garmin Verb 360 at the same time, and I've been rendering their 4K videos, which have been doing the job in minutes, if not seconds. I thought I would try rendering a Fusion video at 4K. Again, processing time was immense. It was like an hour and a half to 2 hours for a minute and 18-second video. So, is the GoPro Fusion the game changer that's going to bring 360 imaging and video into the mainstream? I think it has the potential to be honest. Right now, in its current form, I don't think it is. It's very good, but I think the software needs some work. It's just not powerful enough at the moment to process the videos for enthusiasts who just want to share, shoot and share quickly. But with new features like overcapture and angel view coming in the new year, early 2018, I imagine there's going to be more updates in the next few weeks. I think it's definitely a conversation worth revisiting in another month or so.